Hey. Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me here. It's truly a pleasure and a privilege to be able to share with you all. When I got the invitation, I was very, very happy to say yes, so that I can share about what it is that we've been doing. I had the pleasure of meeting Louis in our training program, and it was such an honor to be able to share with him, and now to be able to share here also. It's been wonderful. So without further ado, I would just like to get into one of our main topics today, which is actually grounding, because everybody, I'm sure, can so, every day we are faced with so much now. There's just so much going on. And I've been hearing a bit about Hong Kong also on the news and from Louis right now. And it's a lot. And in some ways, it's quite amazing when you think about how much we are able to handle and still keep everything going day to day, day to day, day to day. So today we're actually going to talk about grounding, which is a real way to be the calm in the middle of the storm. So that no matter what's happening externally, that we can find that calm, because that's really the only thing we can truly rely on. And I hope we can really experience some of this tonight. So please just sit back and relax. You don't even have to use your thinking brain so much. We use that thinking brain so much, but the idea tonight is to really just sit back, relax, trust that you'll take in what you're ready for, what is good for you, and that you will actually experience some nice shifts and some nice connection within yourself. And tonight I'm also going to talk about what I believe is a very, very, very effective, revolutionary practice that actually helps us be the calm in the middle of every storm. And the name of that practice is TRE. Now, we're not going to do the practice tonight, but we're going to talk about all of the ways it works, why it's so effective, and what it is. And then we'll give you some opportunities after and let you know how you can try this out. Some of you may have tried it already. So if you have, you will learn tonight about the grounding part of it, as well as the self-regulation, because I believe the two of those together are very, very powerful and really key to what we need in the world right now. Yes, yes. Okay, so everybody can just start by taking a nice deep breath for yourselves. Check in with your body, see if you're comfortable, and switch, because one of the first things we do is we don't necessarily hear our messages within us when we need a bit of a shift or a break, because we're so on. We're on all the time. It's like we have this existence, but our car is always in gear, so that the engine's always going, it's always going. So see if you can kind of maybe gear down a little bit. Just allow yourself to gear down a little bit and be in just this idling car for a change. Okay, so let's start with that. And as you do that, I'm going to start share screening. So that you have a nice visual for a lot of what I'm going to talk about tonight. But I know that it can be a stimuli perhaps that puts you in thinking mode, and it puts you in your thinking brain, because maybe you're used to seeing presentations like this, but that is not the case. This is just nice, colorful stimuli for you to have a visual of what I'm talking about. So staying connected here. So when we talk about grounding, the most important part is really being aware of our bodies as though we have roots. Because a lot of our world right now, we manage from the head. So we're always up here. So as you sit here already, you can start to become more aware of your feet and more aware of your buttocks on your chair, or if you're sitting on the floor, if you're leaning on something, become aware of your back. And so I want to show this picture of this tree, because I think this is a perfect image that we can have for ourselves. Bright light. You'll notice roots here on the bottom that are just as large and big as the big branches above, although we're often only focused on the above branches. But we have to be in balance and be very rooted also. You'll see lushness. You'll see strength in this picture and flexibility at the same time. That's when we talk about grounding, that's where we're coming from, is a place of being strong as the calm in the middle of a storm, but we're not talking about like a fight strong, that if somebody comes and pushes me too hard, I'm just going to break, I'll burn out, right? But I'm like a big tree in the wind. And so when we talk about grounding, we're talking about being able to have enough space within ourselves for that wind. And that wind is all the stuff that happens in life, that when it comes, this tree, when the wind comes, doesn't take it all in and try to hold it in and hold it in and hold it in, because it would just make it weaker and weaker. Instead, it goes with it and it lets it pass through, and therefore it remains strong. So it's really, and the wind for us is all of the situations that happen, all of the emotions, all of the social conditioning of how we're supposed to be, how we're supposed to act, how we're supposed to succeed. And then all of the things that are happening in the world now, including a pandemic on top of everything else. That's the wind. So we're learning to be able to ground and connect with ourselves, so that no matter what's going on externally, we can always choose, it is our choice to return to the grounding. So it's really important in grounding to understand the nervous system. I'm so passionate and I love to share this. I'm sure many of you have seen this graph before. It's the polyvagal curve. And Stephen Porges and David Bercelli, the founder of TRE, have this beautiful curve. Let me explain it quickly for those who may not be familiar with it. And those who are, you may hear a little snippet or something that resonates within you. Because again, we're not learning so much tonight. We're just relaxing, enjoying, and allowing this new, hopefully fresh way to be delivered to you. So when we talk about that big tree and grounding, we are down here in the green zone, which in the polyvagal theory is called social engagement. And it's also called ventrovagal. It's when our nervous system detects everything as safe. When we feel truly safe inside, we can feel more joy, we feel more present. We are in a curious, open place. We have so much compassion for us and other people because we feel indispensable, because nothing can hurt us, because we are feeling fully safe within us. And we're much more mindful. But then there's stimuli that happens in our world, all kinds of things. We say that up to 50 or more times a day, our alarm system in our nervous system goes off. And what starts to happen is we start to climb up the scale of arousal, from worry and concern up to anxiety, then maybe fear. If it's quite intense, panic, which is right at the top of our red zone here. If it's more on this side, more around fear or anger than fear, then maybe we start by feeling frustrated, then irritable, angry, and maybe in full rage. So that is the range. And so depending what's happened, how seriously threatened we are and not feeling safe, that is how high we go in the red zone. At some point, the nervous system, which is regulating all of this, it is right now for you. It is scanning your environment every second of your life to determine if you're safe. And if you're not, it's your automatic nervous system that brings you up here. So if it detects that even in panic and rage, it's still not safe and it's too much to bear, it then crosses us over the overwhelm line here, the dotted line from I can, fight and flight, into I can't, freeze. Now, this is a large spectrum. Mildly in dorsovagal, we call it, or in freeze, could be a bit of daydreaming. Oh, it's just too much to handle this. So boom, we have this pattern of going off somewhere, thinking about what happened yesterday or tomorrow, or fantasizing. This is a mild form of freeze. Then it's a feeling of helplessness, feeling trapped, hopeless. That's what overwhelm is, right? That's the difference between stress and trauma. We call it trauma when we hit the point of overwhelm. It could be as serious as clinical depression. If it's really serious, like in a car accident, let's say, where, you know, we're very injured, but we're still conscious, our body could physically freeze and we could be in a deep, deep dissociation with all kinds of different chemicals, more opioids to protect us. So our nervous system is doing this all the time. But we have to remember that we live in a world where we're taught to keep everything in. Most of us are living here, more in a dissociated state. We're not so present. It's too much to feel everything that's going on. It doesn't mean we can't function. We function still very well. Some of the most successful people in the world, you know, live a lot in this area. It just means that we don't feel so much and we feel a bit hopeless and just always under threat. So it's safe to say that most of the planet, especially during these times, we're living quite high. And the reason for that is that we are actually designed to get really stressed and release. But because most of us kind of just stay here, we never were taught to keep everything inside. Keep it inside, be polite, don't react. And so everything stays inside. And so we never get to come back down to normal after the threat. For right now, what I'd like everybody to do is to take a moment and feel, maybe right now, where am I on this curve? Do I feel fairly here, present, engaged, focused, curious, calm? Or am I a little bit fidgety? You know, maybe my foot's going under the table, or my heart rate's up a little bit, or I'm tensing a bit. Maybe I'm even up here, 6, 7. I feel like, oh, I just have to go, or I feel some fight within me. What is this? Or maybe I'm here, but I feel foggy. I feel spacey. It's a bit hard to really focus on what's going on. Although I'm calm and relaxed, I'm not very engaged. Okay, so I'll take a second to let people feel in without thinking too much. Just first number that comes up. And as you're doing that, notice, what is it that you noticed that actually tells you what is your number of grounding? What is it? Is it something you felt in your body? Your heart rate? Your breathing rate? Is it your temperature? Is it that you're not that here, you feel a bit checked out? Maybe it's something that told you you're quite grounded, you feel good, you feel joyful, you feel mindful. Just notice. Maybe it's emotional you're noticing, maybe it's mental. There's no right or wrong. And then, because I want you to experience something, I would like to actually do a grounding technique so that you can feel and notice if your number of grounding changes. Because I can guarantee you from my own experience and from experience of thousands of people I've done this with, that when you start using this scale, it becomes part of your life. How grounded am I? How do I know? And what are my early signs that I'm starting to lose my ground? And I have a favorite grounding technique that I choose. I empower myself to choose to reground. You will get fully in the driver's seat of your life. I'm sure if I had people, if I could see you, I hope you turn on your cameras eventually. I'd really love to see your faces, and it would help me also. In fact, it helps with social engagement, right? It helps us feel safe when we have some eye contact. So I'm sure if I could see you all, and I would say, who here feels like, they feel like they're finally grounded, and then boom, they lose it. They feel like they're kind of at the beck and call of the world versus being the one that's in the driver's seat that can actually be, with this, not even on top, because that can be like a fight response too, but from here, a soft, gentle place of being easy on ourselves and refinding our ground when we lose it, when it's time. I'm sure probably everybody would raise their hand. So I can guarantee you starting to use this scale more regularly will help you get in the driver's seat of your life. And TRE is a surefire way, fast way for us to start to notice this, because it grounds our nervous system naturally. I'll tell you why shortly. And so we then have the space to notice our number of grounding even more. And so goes this cycle of just getting more and more and more in touch with ourselves and in the calm, being able to choose to be the calm in the middle of the storm. There is nowhere else to go outside of us. Dr. Robert Scaer, which I'm sure most of you may know, has really done lots and lots of work on trauma and understanding trauma. And he says that the cumulative experiences, so the added on experiences of life's little traumas, okay? Whenever we feel overwhelmed and we don't know what to do because we're so busy at work and in life, this is already a little trauma. Actually shapes virtually every aspect of our existence. Imagine our personality of trauma. Our choice of mate is based on where we live on that curve, where we are in our nervous system in general. Our profession, our appetite, our social behaviors, even our posture. Okay, I'm sure you've noticed already all of these things. It affects you what posture somebody has. If I'm sitting here like this, or if I'm sitting with my shoulders back, or if my face is quite tight and my jaw is a bit clenched as I'm talking, this is all going to impact. And the reason why I'm in that posture is all based on where my nervous system is. And most specifically, it affects and it determines our state of physical and mental health disease. In school, probably everybody learned about the cardiovascular system and many other systems, the immunity system, but almost nobody has learned about the nervous system, yet it's at the core of everything we do. And it's handed down from generation to generation, wherever your family or your biggest influencers as children are in their nervous system, and where their parents were and their parents were, all of our ancestors. It's all cultural also. We have that too. So here's our opportunity to really get in the driver's seat of this and choose where we want to be in our nervous system. Bessel van der Kolk has studied the brain and trauma. I'm sure you've probably heard of him too, and probably read some of his books, I hope. And he speaks a lot here about the brainstem, and the imprint of trauma actually occurs in this brainstem, which is also regulates the autonomic nervous system. So we really need a treatment for the primitive as well as the cognitive parts of the brain. Otherwise, if we're always using this big neocortex up here to manage things and control things, these are still patterns of defense, fight and flight, to try to make things safe for us, but they're not true safety. And we've just been taught to really rely on those, which You know, a lot of the work we do is talking and talk therapy, and it helps a lot. But you start to add a practice and something that involves your brainstem where the trauma actually lives and is stored, then we're really completing the puzzle. So this is great stuff tonight to add to whatever's being done already. It ends up deepening everything. So we have this triune brain here. We have the neocortex, which is all the rational thinking, right? We've really learned to manage the world from here. You know, if I just control this and manage this and plan this and have this set up, and then maybe I'll be okay. It's all preparing for the future in case. Mammalian brain is your emotional center, right? The limbic system, that's where fight and flight is as well. And then we have your brain stem down here, the oldest part of the brain that we share with all reptiles. Everything that happens from this part of the brain is instinctual, which we're not used to. We're used to being in control of everything, but it's helping our bodies breathe. It makes our heart beat, it regulates our blood pressure, and it actually evokes the one natural mechanism we are designed with to actually release all of the cortisol, adrenaline, all the chemicals, and return back to that grounded state after a threat. And I'm going to show you how TRE reactivates this actual mechanism. So of course, our autonomic nervous system, we have our speed up system, that red zone that stimulates our fight and flight, increases adrenaline, cortisol, which decreases your immunity. It shuts down your digestion because there's no energy left for digestion when we're in fight and flight. Muscles tighten out of threat and protection. And we can't sleep very well because we go to sleep in a very activated on state because all the adrenaline has never gotten to be released. We're kind of stuck up there. So of course, we're not going to sleep very deeply. It's very rare to be able to sleep deeply. Parasympathetic system is our slow down system. It's the only place where we can actually regenerate, recuperate, and get well. If we are at the top of the curve, our whole system believes it is under threat. And so there's hardly any energy left when you sleep for your kidneys to clean and all that stuff that's supposed to happen. And you can't truly rest. It's like many people I've worked with who've had high anxiety or burnout, they're so happy to learn about this because everybody was just telling, just relax, just go exercise and relax. But you can't tell somebody to relax when the nervous system is full of chemicals and it's on. So this is, you know, what we're learning tonight is a way to get right to the core in that brain stem and start to calm down the nervous system, come back down into parasympathetic state so that digestion can come on again. We can, you know, have a normal digestive system. That's why this is very common, bad, you know, indigestion and all this stuff, constipation, irritable bowel, all cause nervous system at the core of everything. Relaxation, our muscles finally soften and we can sleep more deeply. So we have a built-in alarm system. Like I said, it's always working. An alarm comes on, either family, relationships, disagreements, money worries, all the things that can happen in a day, many things. And some triggers are more for one person than another, but we all have many. Your nervous system's either gonna go and fight, or it's gonna go in flight, or it's gonna go to coping strategies. If it does that, you can pretty much feel like you've come to a normal place in the beginning. But it's times where coping, remember the dotted line on that curve, when coping's not working anymore. That's when we start to have inappropriate behavior. We start to have poor diet, lack of exercise. Our thinking gets negative. Next thing you know, we have high blood pressure. We're debilitated in some way. Our sleep is really affected. We're generally depressed. We're irritable. Next thing you know, if this is still not released, we're into exhaustion and burnout. And that's what leads to disease. We know that stress in the nervous system is about 95, 97% of most diseases. So if you have extra cortisol, adrenaline that never got to be released, it's meant to go up when you need it and then leave, but it stays in. It causes heart disease, diabetes, obesity, all of the main diseases that we're dealing with. So if we work with our nervous system at allowing this out regularly and being aware of our grounding and choosing to ground, this is, along with other things we're doing, I'm not saying to replace it. This is something that becomes us. It's not even something to add. It's something that becomes us. Okay, so here's our curve again. Just another look and a nice little opportunity for you to check in again. Has your number of grounded changed? And if it has, how do you know? How are you noticing? Are you more focused now? Is your breathing more regular? Are you more aware of your feet? Is your heart rate changing? Your temperature? Maybe you're less stress in your jaw, your shoulders. Just notice. There's no right or wrong. Just notice. And I will do a grounding technique now. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to rub our hand across our forehead like this. When we do this, we're actually crossing the midsection of our head, our brain, our body, and we feel sensation on our skin. And as you do this, feel your breath in your back and your tummy. Good. And now we're actually going to massage our arms a little bit. I'm not sure, I can't. Massage our arms. Oops. Good. And now we're just going to put our hands on our thighs and just rub our thighs as though you had a child who was upset and you're just trying to help them calm. Do this for yourself and feel your breath in your back and your sides. Maybe open your mouth a little bit, relax your jaw so that your breath can come out of your mouth. Also, making a sound can help. Good, very good. And one last one, rub your hands until you feel some heat. And set your hands on your eyes and rest your head. Let yourself feel relief. Empty, empty, empty. Anything you don't need to have here with you. Any thoughts or anything, just let them go as though you have a hole in your heel and you're just clearing, 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 clearing. Don't be a container for all this stuff. Very, very good. I can feel already that people are returning. Good. Now check your numbers of grounding again. Notice if it's changed, and if it has, notice how you know. This is wonderful, wonderful work at getting on top of your nervous system, okay? Very good. Very, very good. I feel that. Good, good, good. Okay, now as I continue to stay connected with yourself so that you can notice your number of grounding. When we get stressed, we can be any of these faces, right? Stress can look very different. Now you might look at these faces and say, oh yeah, that's me. Or you might look at one and say, oh, that's my brother or that's my coworker. Just notice these faces. This is how stress shows itself. You know, sometimes it's this big smile. It's okay, really, all right. But that smile is not coming from the green place on the curve. It's a defense mechanism to be okay. We're not okay. We're not feeling safe underneath. Or maybe see how we look far away. This would be more in the blue zone. So we're just far away in thought and imagining things, okay? Or maybe we have fear. This is top of the red part on the curve. The eyes get really big and we're a bit in shock. Or maybe we're someone who's like, near the top of the curve too, when we really are losing it. We feel like it's going out of control. Or maybe we become very, very infatuated with people and with ourselves and with life. This can also be a way to avoid feeling what's going on, because that's what all these defense mechanisms are about. Or maybe we get funny and silly, right? Everybody knows someone, or maybe it's you, that when we get really stressed and we don't want to feel what's going on, it's too much to manage, we start to get funny and tell jokes, and it helps. Or maybe like this girl, she's looking far away too, but like she's really, anxious also. She's really thinking about, oh my goodness, things are awful, and feeling a bit like there's just nothing to do anymore. It's hopeless, helpless. And then, of course, a very famous one is closing the eyes, either to sleep or to just, figuratively just avoid everything. I don't want you for a second to believe that there's anything wrong with any of these. They have served us so well. But the thing is, now that you're here learning about grounding in TRE, it may very well mean that you're going to start having enough space and grounding within you that you can notice when you go into one of these patterns, and that you can choose to ground so you can be more alive and see that you can feel and transcend what it is that's happening, versus another thing to take in and have to hold in now, and another thing. And then eventually, it's just really hard to enjoy life at all from there. Okay, so I would like you to take only a few minutes and quickly, with a pen and a piece of paper, reflect on, what are my main triggers that tend to rise me up that curve? What are the things that tend to happen that I know when that happens, I lose it, okay? And how do you know that you're moving up the curve? Are you someone who notices what? How do you know, like, okay, it's time for me to take a breather here. What is it that's happening for you? And lastly, what do you do to manage it? Just so you're starting from where you are now. Okay. Just take a moment. Don't think about it too much. My main triggers of stress. How do I know I'm getting up there? How do I know I'm disconnected and freeze? It's common, nothing wrong with it. And what do I tend to do now? And as you write, relax. Notice if you're tense. Relax your jaw.
Hi, Laurie. Do you want the participants, if they want, they can share some of their reflections from your questions?
Yes, I just don't know how I will see them when I'm share screening. So maybe I'll stop and then share screen again.
Yes, if they like to share, maybe they can put their answer in the chat box, or if they like, they can jump up and unmute themselves, himself or herself, to speak from the microphone. It's also
Yes, I will just leave the questions up first so they can see them. And then I'll stop screen sharing because I can't see the chat box from here.
Yes.
Okay. So just another 20 seconds just to wrap up and jot down anything else. Okay, so I'll stop sharing now. And I'm going to go to gallery view. Great. So let me hear, or in the chat box, some main triggers, things that you know when that happens, it's going to affect where you are on the curve.
Yeah, anyone would like to share something?
Criticisms.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chan. Yes, absolutely. Wow. Yes. Great. What else? What are other triggers? Conflict between family members. Oh, yes. Ouch. Okay. Thank you. Let's get one more up here. Work stress and tight deadlines. Yes, deadlines. Oh my goodness, those are bang on. Work stress, things unexpectedly happen. Absolutely, that will drive you right up the curve. So let's look at these. Are they going to keep happening? Do you think there'll come a day where these things don't happen anymore? Probably not. Noisy neighbors. Are these ever going to stop? Feeling inferior to others? Probably not. We're always going to have these moments, right? So that is an important thing to recognize about choosing to be the calm in the middle of the storm, because I think without really knowing it, we're kind of waiting, aren't we? We're waiting for a day that everything is so calm and peaceful that these things don't happen. But of course, it's a choice to know that this stuff is always going to happen, but I can be the tree and let this stuff become more of the wind, because I have more space and grounding within myself to not get right into this when it happens, to take a step back and to watch myself get triggered and go up that curve and then recuperate much quicker. And that's why measuring the grounding is so important, because you start to notice, wow, I'm going up. Where maybe before we're up there and we think it's our whole life and we forget everything else that's going on, and our adrenaline is just, wow, so out of control, right? Or we're so frozen. How about question number 2? What are some indicators? Does somebody want to share either here or in the chat box? How do I know? What are my signs that, whoa, okay, it's time to do something here? When you're feeling anxious, Can I hear a little bit about how do you know you're anxious? Stomach ache, How do you know you're anxious if you head to? Chest, discomfort in the chest, big one. Yes. Muscles get tight. Yes. Shoulder pain, very common one. Migraines, absolutely. The heart beats, usually beats faster or sometimes palpitates or stops. Feeling restless and want to just get out for a run. Yes, you just want to move and get something out of your system. Very, very good. So notice how all of these work. Nothing feels exciting. Very good. We just become blah, because remember, in the blue zone, we don't feel very much and we're feeling upset. Very good. So those are already your indicators that your number of grounding is changing. So it's really good. Now that I've highlighted this for you tonight, I hope that in your life, you will notice a bit more now, even earlier maybe than these signs of when you're starting to go up, to make the choice to ground, breathe, step out of it, picture becoming that tree. Question number 3, can I see some of your coping mechanisms? I see getting out for a run. this is kind of a double whammy, right? When I feel restless and I have to run, I know I'm getting stressed. So running helps. It's a coping mechanism for sure. Can I get a few more here in the chat box? Pause and focus on my breathing. Brilliant. Excellent way. I think breathing is probably the number one. If you can connect with your breath in that moment. Drink some water. Absolutely. You can feel the water. It helps you connect with the body. Can also be harmful coping mechanisms. Absolutely. Some are positive and some are negative, but they still both work. They help us manage. Oh my goodness. Distract myself with some videos. Use a cold pack to cool down. Stress eating. Yes. Keep praying to God. Yes. Walk away for a while. Distract myself with the phone game. Very good. So these are all coping mechanisms. Lying down if you can. Talk to others. So this is good. You're all very aware of these coping mechanisms, which are helpful. And now we know these triggers keep coming. That we talked about, right? Now we're really sure about that. Those aren't going to stop. We can't wait for those to stop. It's up to us. We know that these coping mechanisms help us. Now let's talk about TRE, which actually goes right to the levels of adrenaline and trauma, tension stored in your body that actually naturally gets released. So imagine if you're doing that on top of these coping mechanisms. That's how we get to that point that we talked about before of truly being the calm in the middle of any storm, being in the driver's seat of how we live our life and being here now, living this life rather than wait all our life for something to happen. Okay, so I think I'm gonna share screen. Thank you for your comments and doing this with me. I really enjoyed that and I hope it was useful. So regardless what your triggers are, it doesn't matter because your brain is actually designed to deal with it, not your thinking brain. Your body is naturally designed. And remember here, we're not only talking about ego or physical threats to the body. In today's world, it's all egotistical death, right? It's all about failure, fear of rejection, shame, abandonment. That's why our nervous system goes up the curve, isn't it? That's more common. So it works the same way. It doesn't matter. So if it's more of an ego threat, the fight mechanism versus physical fighting might be blaming, attacking, judging others or yourself. If it's more of a flight, we become very pleasing. We become very silent, needy. We sedate ourselves, we get depressed, feel anxiety, we avoid things. That's what our flight response might look like if it's our ego that's threatened. And if we're up in the blue zone, we're just a bit disconnected, maybe a bit numb, maybe even immobile. And I really encourage you to continue to notice, am I green, relaxed and grounded, alert, present, alive, feeling safe, open? Or am I relaxed, ungrounded, blue part of the zone, a bit disconnected, not really here, a bit shut off, maybe not feeling as alive and safe as I could be, okay? All right, so this grounding break, what we're gonna do is as I continue on, you're going to inhale and exhale. And as you exhale, you're gonna make it a little longer and a little bit of breath out through your mouth as you exhale. And you're gonna see how different it is needing to connect to your breath and listen to me versus maybe getting right into this and losing yourself, losing your grounding, losing your connection. TRE stands for tension or trauma release exercises. The founder is Dr. David Bercelli from Phoenix, Arizona. He spent lots of years in war-torn countries, watched people go into fetal position automatically, no matter what culture they were from. And he would watch the children shake on their knees and leave the bunkers where they were when the bombs hit relatively okay. But the adults did not shake, neither did he. And after the bombing, they could see fear still in their eyes, and they were a bit frozen in the blue zone. He thought, wow, this has to be instinctual, because people were from all different countries. And this kept happening. Fetal position, children tremored, they looked relatively okay, adults didn't, and they weren't tremoring. So he went home and studied many, many things. He was already a social worker. He studied traumatology, massage therapy, bioenergetics. He got a master's of arts in theology. He studied every field he could to understand this. And what he realized is that our instinctual brain is designed with a tremor mechanism. That's why we shake when we get really afraid. And you may have seen a dog shake before when it's thundering and lightning, or if you go on YouTube, you'll see all kinds of mammals tremor. They'll play dead first, they'll freeze. Once the predator goes away, they tremor. All of the adrenaline and cortisol gets released and they go back to a healthy state. But us humans, we've been socially conditioned by our neocortex to stop the shaking, because we've been taught that shaking makes us look weak and not confident. That's why if we're about to do a job interview or we're about to do a presentation, talk to a crowd, and we're shaking, we don't want people to know, because we know we're going to be judged, right? And taught that we're not that confident and we don't really know what we're doing. We want to hide it. And even in the DSM-5 for psychological disorders, shaking, tremoring is actually listed as a symptom. But it's not until Dr. Bocelli and Peter Levine of somatic experiencing, only about 30, 35 years ago, started to realize, wow, this shaking is coming on to actually dissipate the anxiety. But we're thinking it's a symptom and saying it's really bad if you're shaking. Okay? There are many reasons why your body tremors. Some of them are neural circuitry problems, but we also have what's called the neurogenic tremors. And they are part of the instinctual procedural memory of the human animal. All mammals have this. The body elicits them to complete all of those discharged, aborted intrinsic movements. So that means every time we've had to go into freeze, when we were a child, you get lost in a shopping mall. That's very, very serious to a child, and we freeze. And if that doesn't get to be released with the tremoring, it stays in the system. So what TRE does is reactivates this tremor mechanism so we can gradually, in a safe, regulated way, release. Years and years of all of these incompleted stress responses in a fun, natural way. And it all comes from this brainstem. So TRE is only 7 simple exercises that anybody can do, because we can modify all of them. We can even do them in a wheelchair. Okay, because it's not about technique. It's about tiring the right muscles that are part of your stress response just enough, not too much, so that this natural tremor mechanism begins to get elicited again. And that loop of communication to your brainstem that turns these on is reactivated. And once you've done these exercises enough times, we don't even have to do the exercises anymore. We just lie on the floor in a certain position and your body knows what to do. So you just stay present and allow it to happen. To date, it's been taught to approximately 5 million people plus in approximately 69 countries. It can be used in trauma recovery, but only by therapists who are also TRE providers. And then there's those of us who are not therapists. We can use it as a stress reduction technique just to help people feel safe and calm within themselves again and grounded. That's how we change the world. We ground ourselves and we recalibrate our nervous systems. It adds value to any practice, and deepens all of our life experiences. My relationships with my family are going to change if I'm more grounded and feeling more safe within me. My work, my creativity is going to be better if I am more grounded within and safe within myself. My enjoyment of life is going to increase because I'm so much more present and feeling alive and not in fear, because this is all about feeling safe versus in fear. Okay? So in TRE, we tire these red muscles from the legs and we work our way up to these muscles here, which are called the psoas muscles. Some people refer to them as the muscles of the soul because they hold the most tension in your body. That's why many people have a sore lower back, because the psoas are pulling forward and they're stuck there. And once you start to shake, naturally, everything starts to release from that psoas, and sciatica problems, back problems, all kinds of digestive problems all start to go away. Okay, some people also call these muscles the fight and flight muscles. Very, very key. And again, most people, we don't know about them. The biggest benefits you will feel from TRE are deeper, more restful sleep, right? Because we actually can turn off and have those deep REMs of recharging sleep. We're more clear thinking, focused, more calm, more clarity. When those big, demanding, stressful triggers come on, we can manage them versus go into such a reaction. Our body and mind awareness increases all the time. Increased ability to make better decisions, respond, more energy. Being high on the curve like that takes a lot of energy, less anxiety, worry, and depression, and relief from physical pain. Sometimes after doing TRE only once. We do have some precautions for TRE. If somebody has recent injuries or they're in their first trimester of pregnancy, or they have some heart issues, blood pressure. So we have to check in with people, okay, to see if they can do TRE. And if people have psychiatric conditions and they're on meds, it's really important that whoever's teaching people TRE are also therapists or doctors that can help them with dosages also. Okay, just so you know that. So that is the little introduction of TRE. And I see that our time is up. So what I would like to do perhaps is just see if there are any questions now. And then perhaps if people want, we can show a video of someone doing this tremoring so that you get to see this. And tell you what are some options if you want to try TRE yourself. So questions in the chat box or just asking, does it help de-stressing if we initiate shaking ourselves? Yes, absolutely. What it does is it actually releases the built-up stress in the body. So all of the extra cortisol, adrenaline, and tension, and all of these tension holding patterns, all of us are tight in certain areas, it releases that. We never know what we're releasing in the moment though. It could be stress from a situation 15 years ago or one from yesterday, but it doesn't matter. Your mind wants to know, of course, but you just let it go. So absolutely it does, it de-stresses. How do you rewire your brain from going straight to harmful coping mechanism to using positive coping mechanism. You can think about it more of a place of empowerment, of choosing to ground. Don't get into, is it a positive or a negative, as much as I'm just going to ground, because eventually you won't need those coping mechanisms as much, and they will just naturally get positive because you're feeling safer within yourself. You have more compassion for yourself. And remember, the coping mechanisms are something we go to when it's too much to feel. But when we ground more and more, we can manage so many more feelings and not have to go to coping mechanisms. I have knee pain. Is it suitable for TRE? If your knee pain is something that's been there for a long while, it's not a recent injury or surgery that the doctor hasn't okayed you to do TRE yet, it's okay. We would adapt the exercises to make sure we don't put any undue pressure on it, and make sure in your tremor position that we don't go in a position that puts stress on your knee. And I expect that it would probably help your knee. Fetus position, say doing a baby posture. Many people ask this question, if I understand the question properly, you know, a baby is in fetal position. Does it mean it's born in trauma? Well, I'm sure that being born is traumatic, but it's in the womb in this fetal position out of comfort. It's not contracted full of adrenaline. Now it can be if the mother's nervous system or somebody around is really, really high. But in general, when we talk about babies, they are in fetal, but they're not in a stress position. It's a comfortable position, which I expect is why this fetal position is the stress position, because it's known to the body as comfortable and protecting the organs, right? Is TRE very different from the conventional stretching exercise? I have to say absolutely, big YES, yes, because it happens instinctually from your brainstem, remember? It's your brainstem is automatically designed. You don't have to think about this. It reacts to stress. Maybe you don't go into full fetal. Maybe you just, your two legs come in and you go forward a little bit. Your shoulders go up, or you clench your teeth. It does that automatically. And then it tremors automatically. Where if I say right now, okay, everybody stretch your arm and release, that's not the same, because it's not your body's wisdom saying this is what needs to shake today. Your shaking is different every time you tremor, almost every time you do TRE, because all your tremor mechanism knows what to do is release what's next for you to be released. It can't make mistakes. It can't cheat, manipulate, and lie like our thinking brain. I hope that answers that question. How frequently do the TRE is a good maintenance for our mental health? We do TRE about 2 to 3 times a week, about 15 minutes of tremoring, 10 to 15. We need the integration, because if we do a whack of TRE in the beginning, because it feels so good, what starts to happen is it would be like a Coke bottle. If I shook it and I opened the cap wide open, it's going to explode. What we want, because we are kind of like that. We have so much in our bodies. We're kind of like those Coke bottles, like a pressure cooker, holding so much inside. So instead, we help you open the Coke bottle like this. And the is what you release today. Then you give it 2 or 3 days to simmer off. Then you go for a little more. And that's what we teach you as providers, is how to regulate it. So you do it in a really maximized way. Okay, how TRE treats some trauma for a long time ago. When I see the related person, my heart is beating very fast for a few hours. Okay, feeling very angry. Great awareness, first of all, that's number 1. And so what happens is, imagine now if we're full of stress, carrying that, when we have the trigger of seeing this person, what do you think are our chances of actually not reacting and getting angry? Pretty slim. But if you're doing TRE and your grounding practice, measuring your grounding, choosing to ground for a little while and you're getting more space within yourself, you're less in reaction, what do you think is going to happen now when you see that person, right? It's going to diminish, diminish, diminish. You're going to get to the point where you're in a grounded place, watching how, you might still get activated a bit, but you're not buying in to the movie. And then it starts to dissipate over time to the point where you might actually start having compassion for yourself in it, and then eventually for somebody else. I hope that answers that question. Where can have TRE intervention in Hong Kong? Well, we have a facilitator right here on our call. Luis is a certified provider. He took the entire training program. He was one of in our first group that we did online after COVID in April, and he's a fantastic provider. We're also training another provider who's almost finished, who is in touch with Luis also. And I think there are definitely a couple of others. You can go to the international website also, TRE for all. Find a provider and you'll see people listed there. And we also here at Freedom Within offer classes. Actually, there's a free one coming up, a free class on June 13th at 7 p.m. your time. Would love to see you there. Okay, does TRE have different level? Not really, no. All your tremor mechanism knows how to do is follow. Now, if you're talking about it from a tremoring perspective, there's not really different levels. The only thing you might notice is that your tremors over time will be in your whole body, and they will get more and more rhythmical and smooth as your body starts to reconnect, reharmonize, and get healthy. Your tremors may be a bit more fluid. And tremors, by the way, Luis, you'll tell me when I have to stop, huh? The tremors can be movement. Maybe you have an old shoulder injury, and next thing you know, your arm starts to do this, and it's this old injury that's undoing itself. And it could be an injury from 20 years ago that finally that last bit goes. It could be your teeth chattering to release your jaw. It could be a big sound that was caught in here. Sometime you wanted to scream or cry or laugh, and it's coming out and you don't know why. It's just anatomical. So we teach you to be present with it, stay calm, and watch it. I hope that answers that question.
Many people, many friends, they really would like to know more about what TRE is look like. So do you have a few minutes to watch the video? I think most of us would like to see more. If you would like to stay for a few minutes here, I think we can share the videos. Is it okay? So because I see some questions is about the TRE. It looks like what?
Okay. Now, before I show you the video, these are different people shaking, but no two people have the same shaking, because remember, your tremor mechanism is following your pattern of tension and trauma. So I've been tremoring for 11 years myself, but each time I lie on the floor to tremor, I have no idea what's going to happen, right? But when we can regulate it, that's okay. And that's what you learn to do. I'll mute. Okay, so for most people, it will start more in the round where the psoas is. Okay, mostly in the legs. That's where we carry most of the trauma and tension, remember? And then eventually it starts to come up. It can feel like a deep, deep, deep vibration or some kind of movement. And eventually it starts to move up the spine. And we have positions that we can help you with to feel comfortable, to help the tremors move through. You'll see here there's arm movement, shoulder movement. Okay. So here the legs are opening by themselves. Sometimes your legs will move in this kind of position to release something from the hips. Sometimes we can have what's called the fascia stretch, which is the actual fascia in your body is stretching, 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 stretching inside, undoing something. So the idea is just to be really passive as it's happening, not passive blue zone gone, but your muscles are very passive and relaxed and keeping your mind nice and present. And that's why we recommend that you do TRE. If I could show that slide, Luis, is that okay?
Sure. Please go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
And they carry within them a capacity to bring us to a greater place of healing and equanimity. TRE is meant to be a self-care.
There we go. I forgot I was muted. So can I just show the slide of the next steps in case people are wondering?
Sure.
What can be next? Okay. And perhaps if you want to look at the questions and see if there's anything there that I haven't answered, I can answer for you also while I'm doing this. So I would strongly recommend that you do learn with a provider in a class or in a session or in a workshop, because you can, the founder actually has an official exercise video on YouTube. You can go and do it by yourself. But I think it's very important that you have someone with you the first few times to really help you notice your signs of going up that curve so that we can help you regulate. Otherwise, you're going to go at TRE the way you go at life from where we are on the curve, right? If I tend to disconnect a bit, then I end up doing all my tremoring from that place, but I'm not going to be aware because it's become my personality, right? We talked about the personality of trauma. So it helps you do it more safely. It guides you in self-regulation. That's what self-regulation means. It's you noticing by yourself what are your signs of activation and grounding so that you can do it from a place of being aware and present. You're much more likely to develop a regular practice if you do it with a provider a few times and get maximum benefits because it helps you release when you're doing it from a safe place and you may not feel safe the first few times. It's great to have guidance. Our next free class is June 13th, and it's at 7 p.m. your time. And we have an immersive. So if you'd like to do it 3 days in a row with us and learn about all of the theories, which are fascinating. Most people call this immersive. That's a 3-day. It would start at 5 p.m. your time. It's in the evening. They call it a game changer because you really get to experience getting in the driver's seat of your life. Would love to see you there. And of course, continue to focus on your grounding, right? Measure your grounding on that scale of 1 to 10. Notice what tends to trigger you and what are your earliest signs of losing or gaining your ground. And have your go-to grounding techniques. And I just have a picture here of our full training program. It's divided in 3 parts. First part is only for you and your own tremoring and grounding. That's the most important part. And then you learn how to teach individuals TRE. And then you learn how to teach groups TRE. And the program takes approximately 8 months to complete. If you take this TRE immersive on July 2nd to 4th, you can also use it as the module 1, the first step of this training program to become a globally certified TRE provider. And there's really no better time to become a TRE provider if you look at the state our world is in. So I would love to see you there. And maybe you can send links to the classes, Luis, and your information to book sessions if people prefer private sessions.
Yeah. Maybe we can collaborate in the future. We can conduct some in person and with the virtual class at the same time in our agency, maybe, because I usually provide TRE service only in my clients. I haven't formally provided a TRE class to the public.
I see.
At this moment. So really thank you so much for Laurie's sharings. It is my pleasure to invite her to give us a presentation and introduction of TRE. So I also noticed there is a questions that asking if the tremors, is it involuntary? Is
absolutely
involuntary, but it is under our control. Yeah. So why not we can send all of you the links about the free class provided by Laurie, and then and also some information about the TRE website. Is it the national one?
Yes, TRE4all.com. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I think it is about time we need to finish up. But before we finish, we would like to collect your feedback about this webinar, so that we would like to know if you have interest to receive more TRE actual exercise workshop in Hong Kong, because TRE is really new to Hong Kong, I think. So
Oh, you're muted, Luis.
Sorry, I mute myself. I just said welcome you to give us some feedback. The feedback form is place it on the chat box, and also I can share the QR code here. So thank you so much for everyone's presence for this workshop. And it is good to see you. And maybe in the future, we will have some actual in-person workshop. We can collaborate with Laurie in the future.
Yes.
So stay tuned. And do you have any conclusion or any final words you would like to share, Laurie?
I just want to say thank you. I just really want to say thank you. And it's been a pleasure and a privilege to share and congratulate you all, because you chose to be here. And that already says so much, that you do, you know, you're choosing already. You are choosing yourself, your freedom within, your aliveness, your life already. So congratulations on that. And I'd love to see you again. And thank you so much, Luis, for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much and have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.